It's only a game. Why you have to be mad?
What is up, heroes of Dominion? My name is Charlie. This is Hero Wars Central, and in today's video, we're going to talk a little bit about what heroes that I would recommend leveling up with your shiny new daddy and daughter Corvus and Morrigan heroes for the Hero Wars mobile platform. This is your first time joining me. I like to do educational videos for Hero Wars and Hero Wars Mobile, and since we have this Darkness Falls event coming to a close, and now we've had a good opportunity to see what a lot of fun teams are and where you can find strengths and weaknesses with these two new heroes. And it's about time I put out a video discussing what heroes you could level up with Corvus and Morrigan. Now, I already mentioned to you in yesterday's video the team that I'm going to start with, and I don't know if that's going to be the team that I finish with, as there's a lot of variety out there in enemy teams, and obviously you need to tailor your team to defeat your enemy if you have the opportunity to. And just as a quick reminder, that team is Corvus, Elmer, Morrigan, Astrid Lucas, and Dorian. If you're curious about how and why I chose these heroes, check out the video from yesterday. But basically, it's because Dorian is the highest level healer I have, and Elmer and Astrid and Lucas are two of the highest level damage dealers and support that I have, and they actually kind of fit well in this team setup. So whenever it comes to building a team around Corvus and Morrigan, you can go a lot of different ways. Obviously, we have the undead version, the pure undead version. You have 5 heroes here that are all having the undead tag, and this is especially beneficial to Morrigan, who's got 2 abilities that only affect undead heroes. That is her Bone Armor green ability and her Moonlight single target heal. Those 2 abilities only affect undead heroes. You have Kira, Faceless, Phobos, who are all 3 undead. Now, from here, you could make a pure Kira physical damage variant, similar to the the Blender teams from a couple of months back, but you take Sebastian and you take Jets, and bam, you've got a new kind of high damage output Kira damage dealing team. You only have 1 undead hero here. However, the mix of the fun damage output that Corvus does with his altar, the healing that Morrigan does, keeping Kira alive, spawning skeletons as Kira kills enemies, and then of course you have the addition of the crits with Sebastian and Jet. Very strong Kira team, probably one of the better Kira teams that I've heard. There is another version that actually uses Nebula in the back. I'll show that one here on the screen here. I actually don't have it handy, so I'll show it here. And there's a lot of variants that you can go with this. You could keep it like this. You could throw in different healers. You could be a little slower using a healer, like with I don't know, let's just say Dorian. You can make this a little bit more of a hybrid, a little bit of a mage damage using Phobos and Corvus's ultimate ability that reduces the magic defense of the front line and also damages the front line. And Phobos has 2 abilities that that affects the front line of the enemy team. And then of course you have Dorian in the back as a little bit of heals. You could really use any healer with this. But let's talk a little bit more in depth about each role in particular. Now, when it comes to Corvus, he does have a particular weakness in that he's got low armor and he's got low magic defense. So what some people have taken to do is putting another tank in front of him. Some people use Luther. The main perk with Luther is, when Luther does his teleport jump, it exposes the second hero in line. And in a lot of the cases, people were plugging in heroes like Ching Mao or Anvari, or in some cases, like a dodge hero like Elmer, in order to protect your team while Luther's on the other side. You could use Corvus right here as an off tank, keeping Corvus alive until his altar pops up. That's one idea. Another idea is using a mage team with Aurora, and we saw that during the live stream actually today. One of Phil's teams was Aurora, Morrigan, Faceless Lee, and Phobos. Good solid mage team. It lost. it lost to Phil's team. I'm sorry, it was Bob's team, and it lost to Phil's team. So you could go with that. But there's one more tank that sits in front of Corvus, and that is Chaba. And Chaba is an interesting choice. I don't know that I would go with Chaba, but you could if you don't have if you don't have anybody else leveled up, but you can get a little bit of Chaba action going on. The other tanks like Astaroth and Galahad and Ziri, they all stand behind Corvus. And so while they would bring their particular brand of effectiveness to the team, you're not using the tank to shore up Corvus's weaknesses. So unless you're using one of those 3 tanks, Luther, Aurora, or Chaba, I don't think that I would use a second tank in my team. All right. So a lot of people talk about using Nebula. Unfortunately, Nebula is kind of far back. So if you were using kind of like a Kira Nebula team, it won't really help much. You could use a rear-facing damage dealer like Daredevil. You could go like with a high crit team, maybe with Daredevil and Sebastian, pushing her back even further. So that's one option. All right. You could go with Darkstar, which we saw on the live stream today. That could be a fun version as well. Kind of anti-rear line, really good against the twins, maybe really good against, active frontline tanks like Luther or Galahad. But I'm not sure that I would use Nebula in this team. It doesn't really fit very well. So we already talked about our tanks. We kind of talked about the support in Nebula. You could really use just about any support when you need it. You could throw in Morrigan if you need it. You could use Celeste to counter, vampirism if you really needed to. You could use, like I mentioned, Nebula. Of course, you could use any number of other supports that you might want to find, depending on what team you're bringing. Sebastian if you're bringing a physical damage or a crit team. You could use, I don't know, a lot of variants there, a lot of options there. A lot of the teams that they used during the live stream actually used Lian, just for her pure damage output, but she died fairly quickly to the enemy Corvus, so not sure about that. Okay. When it comes to healers, for the most part, I think Dorian is the best option. If any hero is going to get the undead tag in the future, I believe it's going to be Dorian. Whether or not they actually add more undead tags in the future, nobody really knows. But it's definitely possible that Dorian will get it. He's kind of a vampire. He's actually not. He's just using blood magic. But I think Dorian's probably going to be one of the more effective healers, considering that Corvus and Morrigan kind of lend themselves to a physical damage team. However, there are plenty of magic damage variants. If you were to use a hero like... I don't know, you could use like Phobos and Faceless. Maybe you throw in Dorian in the back, and this is the team that you end up using. I don't even know where my Dorian is. I just had him. Maybe this is the team you end up using. You could also completely go away from the undead and use a Dorian Orion Helios setup. They use this on the live stream as well. Very strong mage team with the addition of Morrigan to block Astaroth and to raise the undead a little bit, if you will, and Corvus to do what he does with his altar and yanking a weak team member to the middle. This is a fun variant that I think that Bob thought was going to be the best team overall, but unfortunately did not persevere against Phil's team during the live stream. So another option there. If you start taking a look at heroes individually, let's say you're going to use Faceless, maybe you build a Kark team out of this. Maybe you do something with Faceless and Kark. Where is my Kark? I don't have my Kark leveled up on this account at all. Maybe you do something like this, and you can always throw in Helios to pair with Faceless's armor magic penetration. You could do something like this. This is very similar to a lot of the Kark teams. You have tank support with Kark and Faceless and Helios in the back. Of course, you could also take Morrigan out of this completely. Just use Corvus and Corvus and Faceless. Maybe you do the Jorgen Kai variants. Where's my Kai at? Here we go. You could do this if you really wanted to. Lots of options to level up with these things. These two, Corvus and Morrigan, are akin to the Cleaver and Peppy combo, that it fits a lot of variants, and the twins, the Lars and Krista combo, that again you can stick a lot of different heroes in with these two. Some other heroes that you might consider leveling up with these would be, you could level up a Jew variant using Sebastian. I mentioned that earlier. You could do some fun stuff with the twins. I've actually seen the twins being used a couple of times with this. You could do something like this with with Martha or Thea in the back. I've also seen a lot of variants using Celeste, a couple using Anvari to kind of shore up a little bit of Corvus's defenses, Arachne for some, for some stuns and some control. So there's a lot of variants that you can use with these two, but I think the most popular one right now is the Kira Sebastian Jets, or the Nebula. Here we go, Sebastian, or there's Jet, and then where is Sebastian? This variant with or without Morrigan. Maybe you don't use Morrigan, maybe you do. But yeah, I think this is one of the more popular variants that you're going to see. Plenty of opportunities to level up your heroes with these two. If you have any questions about anything that I've mentioned today, of course, join us in the Discord. Link down below. I do live stream every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and starting next week, I will be giving away more gifts to Facebook and web players, as well as the weekly sweepstakes that I'm doing on Sunday for mobile players only going forward. But more about that on Sunday's video. So it's been a lot of fun this week. Darkness Falls has been a lot of fun. I went ahead and got my Corvus and Morrigan on my main account to absolute star. I have two mobile accounts. This is the one that has all heroes unlocked, with the exception of Cleave Daddy right here missing in this in this spot right here. But on my main account, I've got Corvus and Morrigan at 6-star. Gonna be using them in my main team, and we'll see how it goes. I hope everyone's having a great weekend. It is super hot here in the Midwest. We're gonna enjoy some beach and pool time this weekend. I love you all. Good luck in Dominion.